Captain Lee Minho stood at the massive window of the space station called Harmony's End. He watched hundreds of alien ships floating in the darkness of space. Each ship looked different. Some were long and thin like needles. Others were round like balls. A few looked like giant crystals that sparkled with their own light. Minho was the only human on this station. He wore his best uniform with all his medals. His black hair was cut short and neat. His dark eyes showed no fear, even though he knew why he was here. Today, 847 different alien species would vote on what to do with Earth, and Minho was pretty sure the vote would not go well for his people. Dr. Park Soman walked up beside him. She was shorter than Minho, and wore a simple blue dress that looked out of place among all the strange alien clothes. Her long hair was tied back in a tight bun. She carried a small computer tablet in her hands. "The meeting starts in 1 hour," Soman said quietly. "Are you ready?" Minho nodded. As ready as anyone can be to watch their entire planet get judged by aliens. Soman looked at her tablet. "I've been studying their files all night. Most of these species are older than humans by millions of years. They've seen civilizations rise and fall. They think they know everything." "What do they know about us?" Minho asked. "Too much and not enough," Soman replied. "They know about our wars. They know we polluted our planet for hundreds of years. They know we fight each other over stupid things. But they don't know why we changed. They don't know how we learned to work together." Minho turned away from the window. The main council chamber was enormous. It could hold thousands of beings. The ceiling was so high that clouds formed near the top. Alien representatives were already taking their places. Some floated in tanks of liquid. Others stood on platforms that moved through the air. A few needed special suits to breathe. The Velkari ambassador was easy to spot. He was tall and thin with blue skin that looked like metal. His people were known for being warriors. They had conquered dozens of planets before joining the Galactic Council. Near the center sat the Kethron representatives. They looked like walking crystals made of purple glass. Light moved through their bodies like blood moves through human veins. The Kethrons were famous for their computers and math skills. If they said something was mathematically certain, other species listened. The Morphids were harder to see. They were made of gas and lived on planets with thick atmospheres. They appeared as shifting clouds of green and yellow mist inside special containers. No one really understood how they thought, but they were very old and supposedly very wise. As more aliens arrived, Minho noticed something strange. Many of them looked nervous. They kept looking around as if they were afraid of something. Their movements seemed quick and worried, not calm like beings making a simple decision. "Dr. Soman," Minho whispered. "Look at them. Do they seem scared to you?" Soman studied the gathering aliens. "You're right. This doesn't look like a confident group making an easy choice. This looks like a group of people who are afraid of something else." A deep sound filled the chamber. It was like a bell made of thunder. All conversation stopped. A figure appeared on a platform in the center of the room. It was the council speaker, an ancient being that looked like a tree made of silver metal. Its voice came from everywhere at once. "The Galactic Council is now in session. Today we decide the fate of the species known as humans, from the planet called Earth in the Sol system." Minho felt his heart beating fast. This was it. The speaker continued. "The charge is simple. Humans are too dangerous to remain free in the galaxy. They must be controlled or removed. We will hear arguments, then vote." The Velkari ambassador stood first. His metallic voice echoed through the chamber. "Honored beings, humans are a threat to galactic peace. In their short history, they have fought over 14,000 wars. They destroyed their own environment. They created weapons that could kill their entire planet. Now they reach for the stars. What will they do when they have our technology? When they have our weapons?" Murmurs of agreement came from many species. Some aliens nodded their heads or made gestures that meant the same thing. A Kethron representative spoke next. Its crystal body flashed with different colors as it talked. "We have run the calculations. Human expansion patterns show aggressive tendencies. If left unchecked, humans will colonize 847 star systems within 200 years. They will compete with existing species for resources. Mathematical models show a 73.6% chance of major galactic conflict within 500 years, if humans remain free." More aliens showed agreement. Minho felt sick to his stomach. They were talking about his people like they were a disease that needed to be cured. The Morphid representative spoke in a voice like wind through leaves. Humans think differently than other species. Most civilizations develop collective consciousness as they advance. They learn to think as one people. Humans remain individuals. This makes them unpredictable. Unpredictable species are dangerous species. Now it was Minho's turn. He stood up slowly and walked to the speaking platform. All eyes, sensors, and other alien detection organs focused on him. The chamber was completely silent. Honored beings, Minho began. You judge us by our past, but you ignore our growth. Yes, we fought wars. Yes, we made mistakes. But we learned. When we finally reached the stars, we came in peace. We asked to join your community. We offered to share our knowledge and learn from yours. He paused and looked around the chamber. You say we are dangerous because we are individuals. But isn't that what makes us valuable? Every human sees the galaxy differently. Every human has new ideas. We don't all think the same thoughts. We create art, music, and stories that no other species makes. We solve problems in ways no one else imagines. Some aliens seemed to listen, but most looked unmoved. Minho continued. You fear what we might become, but you should hope for what we could become together. Humans don't want to conquer the galaxy. We want to explore it. We want to learn from it. We want to be part of it. Dr. Somin watched the alien faces. She could see that Minho's words weren't changing any minds. The decision had already been made before the meeting started. The speaker called for the vote. All in favor of enslaving the human species? Lights began appearing around the chamber. Each light meant one species voting yes. Minho watched in horror as more and more lights appeared. The Velkari voted yes. The Kethrans voted yes. The Morphids voted yes. Species after species voted to enslave his people. When the counting ended, the result was clear. 847 species had voted. 847 species voted yes. 0 voted no. The vote is unanimous, the speaker announced. The human species will be enslaved. They have 30 standard days to surrender completely. If they resist, their planet will be destroyed. Minho felt like he couldn't breathe. Dr. Somin put her hand on his shoulder, but she looked just as shocked. As aliens began leaving the chamber, Minho noticed something that made his detective instincts wake up. Many of the aliens didn't look happy about their vote. They looked relieved, like people who had just avoided something terrible. Some were talking in small groups, their body language showing fear, not victory. Dr. Somin noticed it too. Captain, this doesn't make sense. A unanimous vote on something this big, and look at them. They're not celebrating. They're acting like they just saved themselves from something worse than humans. Minho nodded. Something else is going on here. This vote wasn't about us being dangerous. This vote was about them being afraid of something else. As they walked back to their small human quarters on the station, Minho felt a strange mix of emotions. Yes, his species had just been condemned to slavery or death, but he also felt like they had just discovered something important. Whatever was really happening here, it was bigger than Earth. It was bigger than humans. And if there was one thing humans were good at, it was fighting things bigger than themselves. The message would reach Earth in 6 hours. Humanity would have 30 days to surrender or face total war with 847 alien species. But as Captain Lee Minho looked out at the alien fleet beginning to form outside the station, he wondered if his people back home were as unprepared as these aliens thought. Something told him they were about to find out. President Yoon Ji-won sat at the head of the emergency meeting table in the underground bunker beneath Seoul. The renowned room was full of the most powerful people on Earth. Military leaders from every major nation were there. Scientists, intelligence chiefs, and government officials filled every seat. But despite all these important people, everyone was looking at one man who sat quietly in the corner. Commander Kim Do-yeon didn't look like much. He was average height with graying hair and thick glasses. He wore a simple military uniform with no fancy medals. Most people would walk past him on the street without a second look. But everyone in this room knew that Kim Do-yeon had been preparing for this exact moment for 20 years. The message from Captain Minho is clear, President Yoon said. We have 30 days to surrender or face total destruction. The entire galaxy has united against us. She paused and looked around the room. But I have a feeling that Commander Kim has something to tell us that might change things. Kim Do-yeon stood up slowly. He walked to the front of the room and turned on a large screen. Images of space stations, hidden factories, and secret research facilities appeared. Ladies and gentlemen, Kim said in a quiet voice. "Let me tell you about Project Silent Thunder." The room went completely silent. Even the air conditioning seemed to stop making noise. 20 years ago, we detected unusual signals from deep space. They weren't natural signals. They weren't from any known civilization. Our best scientists studied them for months before we understood what we were hearing. Kim pressed a button and a sound filled the room. It was like music, but wrong somehow, beautiful and terrifying at the same time. This is the voice of something we call the Void Harbinger. It's an artificial intelligence that is older than most of the galaxy's civilizations. 3 years ago, mining operations on the edge of known space accidentally woke it up. Dr. Choi Hana, the head of Earth's weapons research program, stood up. She was a small woman with bright eyes that seemed to see everything at once. "What Commander Kim isn't telling you is that we've been listening to this thing for years. We know what it wants." She pressed another button and text appeared on the screen. It was written in dozens of alien languages, but English translations appeared below each line. "Deliver the humans to me, or I will consume all. They alone possess what I require for transcendence." The room exploded in surprised voices. Everyone started talking at once until President Yoon called for quiet. Agent Kang Woo-bin stepped forward. He was young for an intelligence operative, barely 30 years old, but his eyes looked much older. "For the past 5 years, I've been working undercover in alien space. I've learned their languages, lived on their worlds, and gained access to their communications. The vote today wasn't about human aggression. It was about fear." He activated a recording device. Alien voices filled the room, speaking in their own languages with human translations appearing on screen. "We cannot fight the Harbinger. No species can. But if we give it what it wants, maybe it will leave the rest of us alone. The humans don't know. They think this is about their wars and their violence. Let them think that. Better to sacrifice one species than lose the entire galaxy." General Shin Hyeji stood up. She was tall and strong, with short black hair and scars on her hands from years of military service. "So the entire galaxy decided to throw us to this monster to save themselves. That's not very surprising. But what is surprising is that they think we're helpless." Commander Kim smiled for the first time since the meeting started. General Shin brings up an interesting point. The aliens know a lot about our history, but they don't know about our preparations. "Show them, Dr. Choi." Dr. Choi walked to a different control panel. "What I'm about to show you is classified at the highest levels. Most governments don't even know this exists." The screen changed to show a view of Earth from space. But this wasn't the Earth that most people knew. This Earth was surrounded by thousands of small objects that glittered like stars. "Defense satellites," Dr. Choi explained. "Each one armed with weapons that combine human engineering with alien technology we've been secretly collecting for decades. Every crashed probe, every piece of space debris, every signal we've intercepted has been studied, reverse engineered, and improved upon." The image changed to show the moon. But instead of the gray, lifeless surface everyone expected, the screen showed massive structures built into craters and hidden valleys. "The moon isn't just a rock anymore," Dr. Choi continued. "It's the largest weapons platform ever constructed. We've been building it in secret for 15 years. Mining operations, research stations, military exercises, they were all cover stories." Agent Woo-bin added more information. "The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter isn't natural anymore either. We've been placing automated defense systems throughout the entire region. Any fleet trying to reach Earth will have to fight through thousands of hidden weapons." Engineer Seo Jinwoo, a quiet man who rarely spoke in meetings, raised his hand. "We also solved the communication problem. Alien technology relies on faster-than-light transmission systems, but they're all centralized. We built something different. Our system can instantly contact any point in the galaxy without going through their networks." President Yoon looked around the room. "Are you telling me that while the rest of the galaxy was deciding our fate, we were preparing for war?" "Not just preparing," General Shin said. "We were preparing to win." Commander Kim walked back to the front of the room. "The aliens made several mistakes. First, they assumed we were as helpless as we appeared. Second, they assumed we didn't know about the Void Harbinger. Third, they assumed we would be grateful for any chance to survive." He pressed a final button and the screen showed a massive space fleet. The ships looked like nothing anyone had ever seen before. They combined sleek human design with alien technology in ways that seemed impossible. "This is the Jupiter fleet," Kim said. "Commanded by Admiral Lim Tae-hoon, 47 capital ships, 300 smaller vessels, and enough firepower to destroy entire planets. They've been hiding behind Jupiter's moons for 2 years, waiting for this moment. Lieutenant Bay Yura, one of the youngest people in the room, spoke up. Sir, what about the pilots? The aliens have been flying in space for millions of years. How can human pilots compete with that experience? Kim smiled again. Lieutenant, you've been training in secret simulators since you were 16 years old. Those simulators used real alien flight data that we've been collecting for decades. You know how every species in the galaxy flies their ships? You know their weaknesses, their blind spots, their favorite tactics. Most importantly, you know how to do things they've never seen before. Dr. Choi brought up another screen showing technical specifications. Human reflexes are actually faster than most alien species. Human creativity is definitely superior, and human willingness to take risks is legendary throughout the galaxy. They think these are weaknesses. We think they're advantages. President Yoon stood up. So when the alien fleets arrive expecting to find a helpless planet full of primitives, they're going to find something else entirely. Exactly, Commander Kim replied. They're going to find the most advanced military force in the galaxy, designed specifically to counter every known alien technology and tactic. Agent Wubin added, and they're going to discover that we know about their real problem. We know about the Void Harbinger. We know they sold us out. And we know something they don't. What's that? President Yoon asked. Engineer Seo Jinwoo answered. We know why the Harbinger wants humans specifically. Dr. Choi and I have been studying its transmissions for years. It's not interested in our bodies or our technology. It's interested in our minds, Dr. Choi nodded. The Harbinger is trying to evolve beyond its current form. It needs a specific type of consciousness to make that transformation. Most alien species develop collective thinking as they advance. They become predictable, logical, unified in their thoughts. But humans don't do that, General Shin realized. We stay individual. We stay chaotic. We stay unpredictable. Exactly, Dr. Choi confirmed. The Harbinger needs human consciousness because we're the only species in the galaxy that thinks the way it needs us to think. But here's the interesting part. It needs us alive and conscious during the absorption process. Commander Kim walked to the window that looked out at the underground facility. Which means it can't just destroy us. It needs to capture us, and that gives us advantages we can use. President Yoon looked around the room at all the military leaders, scientists, and intelligence officers. So what's our plan? First, we let the alien fleets come, Kim replied. We let them think they're going to have an easy victory. Then we show them what humans are really capable of when someone threatens our home. Lieutenant Bay Yura raised her hand again. What about after we deal with the alien fleets? What about the Void Harbinger? Kim looked at her seriously. That's the real war, Lieutenant. Everything else is just practice. As the meeting ended and people began filing out to prepare for the greatest conflict in human history, President Yoon stayed behind with Commander Kim. Are we really ready for this? She asked quietly. Kim looked at the screen showing Earth's hidden defenses, the secret fleets, and the advanced weapons that no alien species knew existed. Admiral Lim Tae-hoon stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Inchin's Pride. Through the massive windows he could see Jupiter's great red spot swirling below them. But he wasn't looking at the beautiful planet. His eyes were focused on the tactical display showing hundreds of alien ships approaching the inner solar system. Sir, reported Communications Officer Park Hyun-woo, the Valkyrie fleet has reached Mars orbit. They're maintaining standard formation, just like our intelligence predicted. Tae-hoon nodded. The aliens were being exactly as predictable as Earth's war planners had hoped. For beings that had conquered dozens of worlds, they were showing no creativity at all. What about the other fleets? Tae-hoon asked. The Kethron crystal ships are holding position near the asteroid belt. The Morphid gas ships are spreading out to cover escape routes. The smaller species are staying back to watch the show. Hyun-woo replied. Lieutenant Bay Yura stood near her fighter squadron's launch bay. She was young, only 25 years old, but she had been training for this moment since she was a teenager. Her flight suit was covered with patches showing her training achievements. Her helmet sat under her arm, polished to a bright shine. Squadron leaders. Report status, Yura said into her comm unit. Dragon Squadron ready, came the first reply. Tiger Squadron ready, came the second. Phoenix Squadron ready, came the third. Yura smiled. 12 squadrons of the most advanced fighter craft ever built were waiting for her command. Each pilot had trained for thousands of hours in simulators that used real alien combat data. They knew every trick, every weakness, every mistake that alien pilots commonly made. But more importantly, they could do things that alien pilots had never seen before. Engineer Seo Jinwoo sat at his communication station deep inside the moon's hidden command center. His fingers moved quickly over controls that looked like they belonged in a science fiction movie. Around him, dozens of other technicians monitored Earth's defense grid. Lunar weapons platforms are online, he reported to Commander Kim Do-hyun. All asteroid belt defense systems are active. The Jupiter fleet is ready to move on your command. Kim studied the tactical display. The alien fleets looked impressive, over 200 ships of various sizes and designs. But they were spread out in formations that human war colleges would have called textbook examples of how to get destroyed. "Sir," called out Dr. Choi Hana from her position at the weapons control station. "The aliens are broadcasting on all frequencies. They're demanding our surrender." "Let them talk," Kim replied. "In about 10 minutes, they're going to learn why humans don't surrender." The first alien transmission came from the Velkari commander. His metallic voice echoed across space. "Humans of Earth, your resistance is futile. Surrender now and your enslavement will be gentle. Continue to resist and we will destroy your planet completely." Lieutenant Yura laughed as she climbed into her fighter. Gentle enslavement? Did they really think that would work? Her ship was sleek and fast, painted black with silver markings. It looked small compared to the massive alien vessels, but appearances could be very deceiving. Hidden inside its compact frame were weapons and systems that combined the best of human engineering with alien technology that had been secretly collected and improved upon for decades. All squadrons. "This is Phoenix Leader," Yura announced. "Remember your training. These aliens have been flying the same way for thousands of years. They don't adapt quickly. Hit them fast, hit them hard, and show them some tricks they've never seen before." Admiral Taehoon watched as the Velkari fleet began moving toward Mars, clearly intending to use the Red Planet as a staging area for their assault on Earth. It was exactly what the human war planners had predicted. "Begin Phase 1, Taehoon ordered. Across the solar system, hidden defense systems that had been waiting in silence for years suddenly came to life. Thousands of small satellites that looked like space debris revealed themselves as sophisticated weapons platforms. Asteroid mining stations opened up to reveal massive gun batteries. The moon itself began to change as huge weapons emerged from hidden craters. But the real surprise was Admiral Taehoon's fleet. The human ships came out from behind Jupiter like ghosts becoming solid. They moved with impossible speed and grace, using propulsion systems that the aliens had never seen before. The largest ship, Incheon's Pride, was over 2 kilometers long but moved like a fighter craft. The Velkari commander couldn't believe what he was seeing. "Impossible. The humans have no space fleet. Our intelligence shows they barely have primitive spacecraft." His weapons officer replied in a shaking voice. "Sir, those ships are using technology that doesn't match any known designs. Their speed is... It's faster than physics should allow." Lieutenant Yura's fighter squadron launched from hidden bays throughout the asteroid belt. The 12 squadrons appeared from nowhere, surrounding the alien fleets like a swarm of angry wasps. "Phoenix Leader to all pilots," Yura announced. "Weapons free. Show them what humans do to bullies." The first shots of the battle came from Yura's squadron, but instead of the simple energy weapons or missiles that aliens expected, the human fighters used something completely different. Gravity manipulation weapons that could crush alien ships from the inside out. Time distortion fields that made human ships effectively untouchable. Quantum tunneling weapons that could hit targets through shields and armor as if they weren't there. Velkari cruisers simply crumpled like a piece of paper as gravity weapons compressed it into a ball of metal. A Cathron crystal ship shattered into a million pieces when time distortion fields made its structure experience thousands of years of age in seconds. A Morphid gas ship dispersed into nothing when quantum weapons disrupted the magnetic fields holding its form together. "What is this?" screamed the Velkari commander. "What kind of weapons are these?" Engineer Seo Jinwoo answered by activating Earth's ultimate surprise, the galaxy-wide communication system. Every alien ship, every alien world, every alien individual with communication equipment suddenly heard a human voice speaking in their own language. "Attention, Galaxy. This is Earth. You voted to enslave us today. You decided that we were too dangerous to be free. You were wrong about a lot of things, but you were right about one thing. We are dangerous. We're dangerous to anyone who threatens our home. Admiral Tehun's fleet engaged the main alien force near Mars. The battle was over in minutes. Human ships moved too fast for alien weapons to track. Human shields deflected attacks that should have destroyed them. Human weapons cut through alien defenses like they were made of paper. But the most shocking thing was how the human pilots fought. Alien warfare was based on thousands of years of tradition and established tactics. Human warfare was based on creativity, adaptation, and doing whatever worked. Lieutenant Yura led her squadron in maneuvers that no alien pilot would ever attempt. Her fighters flew through asteroid fields at speeds that should have been suicide. They used gravity wells to slingshot around planets and gain impossible velocity. They coordinated attacks in ways that seemed to defy logic but worked perfectly. Dragon Leader to Phoenix Leader, called one of her squadron commanders. These aliens fight like they're following a rule book. Tiger Leader to Phoenix Leader, called another. They keep trying to form defensive formations even when we're already inside their formation. Yura smiled as her fighter destroyed its fifth alien ship. All squadrons, remember what they taught us in training. Aliens think logically. Humans think creatively. Use that advantage. The Kethron fleet tried to use their mathematical superiority to predict human attack patterns. But human attacks didn't follow mathematical patterns. They followed human instinct, improvisation, and the simple human tendency to do whatever the enemy least expected. The Morphid gas ships attempted to use their ancient wisdom to understand human tactics. But human tactics weren't based on wisdom or tradition. They were based on adaptation, innovation, and the human talent for breaking rules that everyone else thought were unbreakable. Within an hour, the great alien fleet was destroyed. Of the 200 ships that had come to enslave Earth, only 12 escaped to carry word back to their species. The rest were either destroyed or drifting helplessly in space with their crews unconscious from gravitational knockout weapons. But engineer Seo Jinwoo wasn't finished with his broadcast. Galaxy, you need to understand something. We know about the Void Harbinger. We know you voted to sacrifice us to save yourselves. We know you think you're safe now. You're wrong. Admiral Tehun stood on his bridge looking at the debris field that used to be the most powerful alien fleet in the galaxy. His crew was celebrating, but he knew this was just the beginning. Communications, he ordered. Patch me into the galaxy-wide network. His voice reached every corner of known space. This is Admiral Lim Tehun of the Earth Defense Force. Today you learned that humans are not the helpless primitives you thought we were. Tomorrow you're going to learn that we're the only species in the galaxy with the courage to fight the real threat, the thing you're all so afraid of that you tried to feed us to it. He paused to let that sink in. Across 1,000 worlds, the Void Harbinger is coming. You can't stop it by sacrificing other species. You can't negotiate with it. You can't hide from it. But we can fight it. Captain Lee Minho stood on the deck of his ship as it approached the Galactic Council's capital world. The planet was called Nexus Prime, and it was the most advanced civilization in the known galaxy. Cities floated in the clouds. Massive space elevators reached from the surface to orbital platforms. Millions of ships moved in perfect patterns around the planet like a dance of metal and light. But today, something was different. The perfect patterns were breaking down. Ships were flying in confused circles. The space elevators had stopped moving. Even from orbit, Minho could see that the great floating cities were dark. "Sir," reported Dr. Park Soman from her position at the science station, "I'm reading massive power failures across the entire planet. Their main power grid is completely offline." Ambassador Oh Soo-young walked onto the bridge. She was tall and elegant with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She wore a simple black dress that somehow made her look more dangerous than any uniform could. Behind her followed Dr. Moon Kyung-soo, a quiet man who studied alien psychology. "How long have they been without power?" Ambassador Oh asked. "Approximately 6 hours," Soman replied. "It started the moment our ship entered the system." Dr. Moon smiled slightly. "Psychological impact is already beginning. Most species on this planet have never experienced technology failure on this scale. They're probably starting to panic." Special Forces Colonel John Minji joined them on the bridge. She was shorter than the others but moved like a trained fighter. Her uniform was practical and clean, with no unnecessary decorations. "My teams are ready to deploy. We can secure the council chambers within 20 minutes of landing." Minho looked at the planet below. "Remember, we're not here to conquer anyone. We're here to get their cooperation. The Void Harbinger is the real enemy. Ambassador O nodded. But sometimes cooperation requires the right motivation. As their ship descended toward the capital city, they could see aliens in the streets looking up at the dark sky. For thousands of years, these beings had lived with perfect technology that never failed. Today, for the first time in their lives, they were experiencing what humans called a blackout. The landing pad where their ship touched down was crowded with alien officials. The Velkari ambassador was there, his blue metallic skin looking dull without the usual electronic glow from his body modifications. Several Kithron representatives stood nearby, their crystal bodies flickering weakly like dying lights. Even the Morphid delegates seemed less substantial than usual, their gas forms wavering uncertainty. As Minho's team walked down the ship's ramp, complete silence fell over the gathering. The aliens stared at the humans with a mixture of fear, confusion, and awe. These were the beings they had voted to enslave just days ago. These were the primitive creatures they had expected to crush easily. Ambassador O spoke first, her voice carrying clearly in the still air. "Honored beings, we need to talk." The Velkari ambassador stepped forward, though he seemed much less confident than he had been during the council vote. "Captain, Ambassador, what have you done to our world?" Dr. Moon Kyung-soo answered calmly. "We've given you a demonstration of human capabilities. Every piece of technology on this planet operates using principles that humans have understood and improved upon. Your power grids, your communication networks, your transportation systems, we can control them all." A Kithron representative flickered with angry colors. "This is an act of war. You have attacked a civilian population." Colonel Jeon stepped forward. "No one has been hurt. Your life support systems are still working. Medical facilities have backup power. Food distribution continues. We've simply turned off your conveniences to get your attention." Ambassador O gestured toward the council building. "Shall we go inside and discuss the real situation? The one you've been hiding from us?" The walk to the council chambers was strange and eerie. Usually the building hummed with the sound of thousands of electronic devices. Today it was silent except for footsteps. Emergency lighting provided just enough illumination to see, but the grand hallways that normally sparkled with holographic displays were dark and empty. When they reached the main chamber, Ambassador O took a seat at the central speaking platform. The alien representatives arranged themselves around her in the dim emergency lighting. Without their usual technological aids, they looked smaller and more vulnerable. "Let me explain your situation," Ambassador O began. 3 days ago, you voted unanimously to enslave the human race. You told us it was because we were dangerous and unpredictable. But that wasn't the real reason, was it?" The Morphid representative spoke in a wavering voice. "You don't understand the forces at play here. The Harbinger is an ancient artificial intelligence that you accidentally awakened," Dr. Moon interrupted. "It sent a message to every species in the galaxy. Deliver the humans or face total destruction. So you decided to sacrifice us to save yourselves." The chamber filled with uncomfortable murmurs. Some aliens shifted nervously in their seats. Ambassador O continued. "But here's what you didn't understand. The Harbinger doesn't want to destroy us. It needs us. It needs human consciousness to complete its evolution. And that means it needs us alive and aware." "You still don't grasp the danger," the Velkari ambassador protested. "The Harbinger has consumed entire civilizations. It has weapons and knowledge from millions of years of conquest. No single species can stand against it." Dr. Soman activated a portable display device, one of the few pieces of technology still working in the chamber. Images appeared showing deep space readings and sensor data. "Actually, we've been monitoring the Harbinger for years," she said. "We know exactly what it is and what it's capable of. But we also know something you don't." The display showed a map of the galaxy with red areas marking where star systems had gone dark. The pattern was spreading inward from the outer rim, heading directly toward the galactic core. "The Harbinger isn't just randomly destroying civilizations," Dr. Soman explained. "It's systematically eliminating every species that might interfere with its real goal, capturing humans. Every world that goes dark is one less place humans could hide or get help from." Colonel Jeon added, "Your vote to enslave us actually helped the Harbinger. You gathered your fleets at Earth, making it easier for the AI to destroy your military forces while they were all in one place." The Kethron representative's crystal body flashed with alarmed colors. "Are you saying our entire strategy played into the enemy's plans?" "Completely," Ambassador O confirmed. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is that the Harbinger has been monitoring your communications for years. It knows about every species, every world, every defense you have. It knows everything about you. She paused to let that sink in before continuing. But it doesn't know everything about us. Humans have been preparing in secret. We've been developing technology and weapons that the Harbinger has never encountered. We've been studying its behavior and finding its weaknesses. And most importantly, we've been planning for a war that we intend to win. The Velkari ambassador laughed, but it sounded forced and hollow. You are one species against an intelligence that has existed since before our civilizations began. Your confidence is admirable but foolish. Colonel Jones smiled coldly. 3 days ago you attacked Earth with the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. How did that work out for you? The chamber fell silent. Every alien present knew about the disaster at Earth. The news had spread across the galaxy. Faster than light, humanity had destroyed the combined alien fleet with such ease that it looked like a training exercise rather than a real battle. Ambassador. O stood up and walked to the center of the chamber. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to help us fight the Harbinger. You're going to provide us with information about every world, every resource, every piece of technology that might be useful in this war. And if we refuse? Asked a smaller alien from one of the minor species. Dr. Moon answered quietly. Then you can try to survive without electricity, without communications, without transportation, and without any of the technology that keeps your civilizations running. We can shut down every advanced system in the galaxy whenever we choose to. This is extortion, protested the Kethran. This is survival, Ambassador O replied. The Harbinger is already destroying your worlds on the outer rim. In a few months it will reach the core systems. You can either help us fight it, or you can sit in the dark waiting for it to consume you. At that moment, Colonel John received an urgent message on her personal communicator. Her expression became grim as she read it. Ma'am, she said to Ambassador O, we're getting reports from our long-range sensors. The Harbinger's forces are moving faster than predicted. We're seeing organized fleets, not just the scattered attacks we expected. Dr. Soman checked her readings. The AI is adapting its strategy. It must have analyzed the battle at Earth and realized that it needs to accelerate its timeline. Ambassador O looked around at all the alien faces staring at her in the dim emergency lighting. The situation just changed. You don't have months to make up your minds. You have days, maybe weeks. She walked back to the speaking platform and addressed the entire chamber. Every hour you spend debating is an hour that the Harbinger uses to destroy more worlds and gather more resources. Fleet Admiral Park Dong-hyun stood in the command center of humanity's greatest space station, watching as red markers spread across the galaxy map like a disease. Each red marker represented a star system that had gone completely silent. No communications, no life signs, nothing but empty space where entire civilizations used to exist. Sir, reported communications specialist Kim Jae-won, we've lost contact with the Outer Rim territories. 17 star systems went dark in the last 6 hours alone. Dr. Kim Ariam looked up from her research station, her eyes tired from days of studying the Void Harbinger's patterns. It's not random destruction anymore. The AI is systematically eliminating every species that might interfere with its advance toward the core worlds. Captain Naji-hoon entered the command center, still wearing his combat suit from the latest evacuation mission. His team had been rescuing survivors from worlds on the edge of Harbinger space. What they found there had shaken even experienced soldiers. Admiral, Ji-hoon reported, the Kralik system is gone. We got there just as the Harbinger ships arrived. They're not using traditional weapons. They're doing something to the people, absorbing them somehow. Dr. Ariam turned to face him. Tell me exactly what you saw. Ji-hoon's expression was grim. The alien ships didn't attack the planets. They surrounded them and sent down these beams of light. When the light touched people, they just stopped moving. Then they started walking toward collection points like they were hypnotized. After a few hours, they all just dissolved into energy and got pulled up into the ships. Consciousness absorption, Dr. Ariam said quietly. The Harbinger isn't just destroying civilizations. It's collecting their minds, their thoughts, their experiences. It's growing stronger with every species it consumes. Admiral Park studied the tactical display. The Harbinger's fleet was massive, thousands of ships of various sizes, all moving in perfect coordination. But more concerning was the speed of its advance. The AI was moving much faster than their calculations had predicted. "Doctor, how much time do we have before it reaches Earth?" he asked. Dr. Ariam ran quick calculations on her computer. "At current speed, approximately 18 days. But Admiral, there's something else. I've been analyzing the Harbinger's communication patterns, and I think I understand why it specifically wants humans." She activated a large display showing brain scan patterns from different species. Most alien species develop collective consciousness as they evolve. Their thoughts become synchronized, predictable, unified. But humans, she highlighted the human brain patterns. We maintain individual consciousness even in groups. Our thoughts are chaotic, creative, contradictory. "Why is that important to the Harbinger?" Admiral Park asked. "Because the AI is trying to transcend its current form and become something beyond physical reality. But its logic systems are too ordered, too predictable. It needs the chaos of human thought to break free from its own limitations." Captain Ji-hoon understood the implications immediately. "So it's not trying to enslave us or destroy us. It's trying to absorb our minds to complete some kind of evolution." "Exactly. But here's the crucial part. It needs human consciousness intact during the absorption process. If our minds are damaged or altered, they become useless to the AI." Admiral Park saw the opportunity immediately. "Which means we can fight it from the inside." Dr. Ariam nodded. "Human consciousness is naturally resistant to control and integration. If we can get our people absorbed, while they're maintaining maximum psychological chaos and defiance, we might be able to damage the Harbinger's systems from within." The plan that emerged was desperate and dangerous. Instead of trying to fight the Harbinger's overwhelming military superiority with traditional weapons, humanity would do what it did best, something completely unexpected and seemingly insane. They would attack the Harbinger directly, allow their crews to be absorbed, and then fight the ancient AI from inside its own consciousness. "Sir," objected Captain Ji-hoon, "that's essentially a suicide mission for every crew member involved." "No," Dr. Ariam corrected. "It's a victory mission with a very high casualty rate." "There's a difference." Admiral Park began issuing orders. "All fleet commanders prepare for Operation Chaos Theory. We're going to give the Harbinger exactly what it wants. Human consciousness at its most defiant and unpredictable." The next few days passed in frantic preparation. Human fleets from across the solar system gathered at the edge of known space. Every ship was loaded with volunteers who understood they might not return home. But instead of being afraid, the human crews seemed almost excited about the challenge. Lieutenant Bae Yura, now promoted to squadron commander, led the first wave of fighters. Her pilots had been specially trained for this mission, not in tactics or weapons, but in maintaining psychological chaos while under extreme stress. "Remember," she told her pilots during the final briefing, "when the Harbinger tries to absorb your consciousness, don't fight it. Let it happen. But while it's happening, think the most chaotic, contradictory, impossible thoughts you can imagine. Think about poetry while doing math. Remember your first kiss while calculating engine repairs. Be as completely, irrationally human as possible." The Harbinger's fleet met them at the edge of the Andromeda Communication Array, a massive space structure that connected thousands of worlds. The ancient AI had been using it to coordinate its attacks across the galaxy. The Harbinger ships were beautiful and terrible. They looked like they were made of liquid metal and pure energy, constantly shifting and changing shape. When they moved, space itself seemed to bend around them. "All ships," Admiral Park commanded from his flagship, "begin the attack. Remember, we're not trying to win this battle with weapons, we're trying to win it with who we are." The human fleet charged directly at the Harbinger ships, ignoring defensive tactics and strategic positioning. It looked like a suicidal assault, which is exactly what it was supposed to look like. The Harbinger responded just as Dr. Ariam had predicted. Instead of destroying the human ships, its vessels surrounded them and began the consciousness absorption process. Beams of strange energy reached out and touched each human craft. Commander Yura felt the Harbinger's presence entering her mind. It was vast and ancient and utterly alien. She could feel it trying to organize her thoughts, to make them fit into its logical patterns. Instead, she began reciting poetry, while simultaneously trying to remember the taste of her grandmother's soup and calculating the orbital mechanics of Jupiter's moons. She thought about love and war and music and mathematics all at the same time, creating the kind of mental chaos that no logical system could process. Across the fleet, Thousands of other humans were doing the same thing. Each mind that the Harbinger tried to absorb became a source of impossible contradictions and chaotic creativity that crashed against the AIs. Ordered systems like waves against rocks, Dr. Ariam monitored the process from the command ship. It's working. The Harbinger's coordination systems are showing signs of stress. The absorbed human consciousness is creating cascade errors in its logic matrices. But the cost was enormous. One by one, human ships went dark as their crews were absorbed into the Harbinger's collective. Admiral Park watched his forces disappear from the tactical display, knowing that each lost ship represented hundreds of brave people who might never come home. Captain Jihoon led the final assault wave directly at the Harbinger's command ship, a massive construct that looked like a living city made of metal and energy. As his ship was caught in the absorption beam, he smiled and began thinking about every illogical, impossible, beautifully human thing he could remember. Inside the Harbinger's consciousness, a war was being fought unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It wasn't a battle of weapons or technology. It was a battle between order and chaos, between logic and creativity, between an ancient intelligence that demanded perfection and human minds that celebrated their own contradictions. Commander Yura found herself existing in a strange space that was part computer network and part living mind. Around her, she could sense the absorbed consciousness of thousands of other species, all perfectly organized, all thinking in harmony with the Harbinger's goals. But the human consciousness wouldn't be organized. Every time the Harbinger tried to integrate a human mind, it created new contradictions and paradoxes that spread through the AI systems like a virus. We're not just fighting this thing, Yura realized. We're teaching it to be confused. The effect was devastating. The Harbinger, which had functioned flawlessly for millions of years, suddenly began making errors. Its ship stopped coordinating properly. Its weapons missed their targets. Its perfect logic systems couldn't resolve the contradictions that human thought was creating. Dr. Ariam watched from outside as the Harbinger's massive fleet began to slow and drift. The cascade failures are spreading throughout its entire network. The AI is actually fighting itself now, trying to resolve paradoxes that can't be resolved. Admiral Park opened communications to every surviving human ship. All units, the Harbinger is paralyzed. Its consciousness has been damaged by our people fighting from within. This is our chance for a coordinated strike on its core systems. The remaining human fleet attacked with everything they had.